Hello, how the bloody hell are you? I can't believe it is mid-December, and that means it is time for my year of running in review. Because it's my first full year of running, as in from like January to December, I thought we could review what happened this year and then chat about what is coming up next year. If this is the first time you're seeing my face, hello, my name is Emily. I'm a slow runner and I make videos all about embracing your pace, no matter what that is, and just loving the sport and trying to find your way within running, because believe it or not, there is not one correct way to run. It is so individual and everybody has their own reasons for getting into it and getting outside, and that is what my content is all about. It's just about trying to find your place within running. I basically didn't consider myself a runner for so many years because I thought I was too slow, I thought I was really unfit, and it just wasn't for me, and cardio was the worst basically. Since I started embracing my slower pace, I embraced the walking breaks during my runs. It has totally transformed running for me as an experience, and because of that, I've had so many incredible moments this year in my running journey that I wanted to share with you, and that's what this video is going to be about today. So if you haven't already, please go and subscribe so we can grow this community. I have been absolutely loving posting on here way more frequently this year. Enough of me waffling, let's get into my running review. What happened this year? This year I did a total of 88 runs, which is up 73% on 2023. I was busy, and that means that my total distance was 851 kilometers, and that distance, by the way, is an increase on 207%. And that means that my time on my feet was over 111 hours, which is mad when you think about it, because the year before I was just getting into running. I was kind of finding my feet, and the year before that I wasn't running at all. So I feel like for me personally, that is such a big jump, but I was able to do it in kind of a sustainable way that meant I didn't get injured at all this year. So claps for me. And although pace really isn't a key focus on why I run, there were some personal bests this year, okay? Pat myself on the back, and I thought I might as well share them with you just to give you an idea of where I am now. And then this time next year, we're going to be able to see how far I've come. If you have seen my 5-kilometer video, which is my most viewed video, so if you haven't seen that yet, I would definitely recommend going to give that a watch. But basically, for me, a sub 30-minute 5K felt impossible. I've never done one in my life. I was able to get my 5K time down to not sub 30. However, it was still a win, okay? Because I got it down to 30 minutes and 32 seconds. I'm really pleased with that, like, especially because pace hasn't been a huge focus. I thought I was pretty chuffed with that, you know? My 10K time, I managed to shave a minute off my 10K time. 10Ks to me are a really tough distance because it's still really uncomfortable, because you still have to run pretty quick, and I just don't love it all the time, you know? I'd rather be running slow and further. I did many a half marathon this year. I managed to get my 5K down from 2:35 to 2 hours 30. I was so close to that sub 2 hours 30 mark. So I'm really happy with that. And then these aren't necessarily PBs, although they are. I just never done that distance before. So I ran my first ever marathon in April this year. I did Brighton Marathon, and I did it in 5 hours and 22 minutes. And then I also, just because that wasn't quite enough, did my first 50-kilometer ultramarathon in October, I think, of this year. And I did that in 7 hours and 26 minutes. And we'll chat about that later, because I thought I would also touch on races, because races was a big thing for me this year. I basically did quite a few races pre-marathon just to kind of emulate that like race atmosphere. I would definitely recommend doing that. And I think I might have miscounted, but I think I ran a total of 8 races this year, and I'll put the breakdown of what that looked like on the screen as well, and I'll also put the races that I did, just in case if you're in the UK or coming to the UK and you need any race recommendations. And I thought as well, what might be a nice thing to do is kind of touch on the highs but then also the lows, because not everything can be a good experience all the time, even when you are really just trying to enjoy it and get the most out of it. So let's start with the lows, just to get that out the way. So one of my low moments during this year in terms of running was during my ultramarathon. If you've watched my ultramarathon video, which again I'll link below, you'll know that It was a race that I found incredibly hard. I found it so much harder than I thought I would be, especially considering my marathon went so well and it was only an extra like 8 kilometers. But it was just so, I think my body was just so tired from this year. Like, as you've seen, I've done so much movement this year compared to last year that my body was just like, can we like have a break now, please? That would be nice. And I just was just tired throughout the whole thing. I didn't settle into it, which is like my biggest fear during races. And there were moments during that race where I genuinely didn't enjoy it, and I thought I was going to stop and not complete it, to be honest. And that was a low within that moment. Obviously, I look back on it now and like I'm so glad that I did it, because finishing that race was just like the best feeling, and I can't explain. I mean, you'll know, right? If you get through something that you didn't think that you were going to be able to get through, it's a really good feeling. It really empowers you, blah, blah, blah. But during that time, it was not good. And then another low, I think is more to do with marathon training, because that was such a long training block. The main bulk of that, where I did the plan, was from January to the start of April. It got to a point where I was doing like half marathons every week for about 4 or 5 weeks, and it's not easy. First of all, it's like fitting that into your schedule, and also just the mental thing of knowing that you have that long run day at every week, or whenever it is that you do it, and you have to go out and you have to do it. There were many tears shed during my marathon training, and it wasn't necessarily because I didn't want to do it. It was more that there were some certain runs that I just thought was so hard mentally and physically. And because you're quite tired and you know what a big challenge it is, it just makes you more emotional. I think for me, the training was so much harder than the actual race itself, just because it all builds up, and, you know, it's like fear of the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen. And it was getting to a point where every week I was running further and further than I'd ever run before, which was cool, but also it can take a lot out of you. But it was worth it. Like, that marathon that I did is probably the best thing that I did this year. And then now we've got the lows out of the way, and to be fair, like, that's not many lows. I think that's quite good. I didn't shit myself, which we love. Yeah, let's just get into the highs. There were many highs. I think the whole experience overall has been such a positive one. But there are a few moments that for me were kind of like up here. And the first one is obviously the marathon. Completing that marathon, I did it with Josh as well. He ran the whole thing with me. Just being able to say that I'd done that marathon and I put myself through all that training was such a cool feeling. And then on the day we had friends and family there, and that just made it even more of an event, if you know what I mean. Like, it really felt like something big and something that I'm going to remember for a very long time. And I think because that first marathon was so positive, that's why it made me want to do an ultra, and it makes me want to do another marathon. And then another thing is more in like the community side of it. I feel like I've actually made a difference to people who thought that they hated running like I did, thought they were too slow, thought they were really unfit, thought that they didn't deserve to run because of whatever reason. And I feel like I have genuinely helped people, which is a really, really cool feeling to have. And just being able to speak to everybody on Instagram and you guys here on YouTube as well. Key learnings, this is so formal. This is turning into like a board meeting or something, hey? Is that progress isn't linear. And I think we all know that, right? But it's so interesting when you actually have stats to look at within running. So for example, like, I did my fastest half marathon at the start of the year, and that was when I got the 2:30 in Barcelona. After that, I think they were all above 2:35. That's fine. I thought, like, for the amount of running that I'd done, I honestly thought I'd be faster, I'd be fitter, I'd have a lower heart rate, I don't know, a bunch of other things that I thought that would happen with me going into this running journey. And none of it has gone the way that I thought it would, but because I was able to shift my mindset away from most of the stats and just about enjoying it, I feel like, yeah, progress will come and it might be slower, and that's fine, you know? And then obviously other things like any pace is a good pace. I say that all the time. As long as you're enjoying it, that's good enough. Don't beat yourself up too much if you don't hit a certain target or whatever it is, because there's so much time to hit those goals, and it's going to feel even better when you hit it. And then a big thing for me, and I've spoke about this a lot more on my channel recently, this is one of the more recent things that I've started to really take on board, and that is that running isn't just for physical health, as in it's not just about losing weight if that's what you want. It's not just about getting faster, getting a lower heart rate, getting stronger. Yeah, those things, you know, happen. Those things are a part of it. But actually, for me, running is the only form of exercise that I've done that when I do it consistently, my mood is a lot more stable. I feel generally a happier, calmer, less stressed person. And I would take that any day over being really fast or being really fit, just because, like, yeah, that's great, but how does that actually benefit my life? Do you know what I mean? Like, being fast isn't going to make me a better person. Finally, I thought we could just touch on what is coming up, what can you expect from this channel, and what am I doing next year? I don't have it all planned out, but I think that's the fun of it, to be honest. I have got 2 half marathons that are booked and that I am doing. One of them is in February, and I actually did that half marathon this year. So you could just scroll back on some of my other videos and see what I was doing in February, and there it will be, your answer. So if you guys are doing that race, let me know. It's not in the UK, so that's really exciting. And then I'm doing another half marathon that I've been teasing that I'm doing that I don't want to say what it is just yet because it's not till June. So I've got to give you some build up, okay? And yeah, that is going to be a half marathon, again, somewhere in Europe, but a little bit more obscure. And then I definitely want to do another marathon next year. I think if I do one, it will probably be more towards the end of the year, so autumn time. Just because, as you know, I am focusing at the minute on getting fitter, faster, and stronger before I turn 30. My birthday is on the 22nd of March next year, and I'll be 30. I'll be 30 years old. So my focus has just been, I've been in the gym a lot. I've been loving it. The last 4 weeks, I have been not necessarily consistent with my running, but I've been consistent in the gym. I've been doing my upper body sessions. I've been doing my lower body sessions. I have been doing my speed sessions too. And I'm enjoying these shorter runs whilst also building strength at the minute. And because we're in that interim period where it's like coming up to Christmas and New Year, I don't want to be outside running for hours and hours on end. Okay, I did a lot of that this year, as you saw. I don't need to do it anymore. Yeah, that is it. I really hope that you enjoyed this video and that you're excited from what's to come. I hope that you guys are ready for Christmas and that you're going to be able to have some time off. Yeah, I just want to thank each and every one of you who has, first of all, made it this far, because I feel like I've been talking for ages. And thank you very much for, if you've been watching my journey this year on YouTube and maybe on Instagram as well. I really appreciate every single comment, every view, every like. It really motivates me to know that there are people out there benefiting from this kind of content, because it's the content that I wish that I had. And I feel like if I'd have met you guys sooner and heard other stories and that are similar to mine, I might be running for England right now. No, probably not. But yeah, I just feel really grateful for this channel, and it just feels really special. Thank you for everything this year, for watching, for subscribing, for commenting, for rooting for me, because it really does help when things get really hard, which as runners, we know that there are times when it can feel impossible, but yet we still do it. Yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. I'm unsure if there will be a video next Sunday, just because Christmas is coming up. I'm going to be traveling back up north at some point next week to see my family, so I'll be kind of wrapping things up with work and all of that stuff, so unsure, but come back on Sunday next week to see if there is a video. Future Emily, I'm proud of you if you were able to get a video up, but if not, no worries. And I will see you in the next video. If you want to catch up with me in the meantime, you can always follow me on Instagram, and I will see you in the next video.